everybody. Welcome to A&W 11, and this is the lesson that supports the return on investment, or ROI, return on investment booklet. There's really three main formulas or ideas that you need to know. The first thing is something called profit. As you guys know, it's the money at the end of a venture minus the money at the start of a venture. So if you started off with $100 and you made $200, you go 200 minus 100, and that will give you $100. And so a profit is positive, but if it winds up being in the negative, so you ended up with less money than when you started, and we call that a loss. Okay, and then we have return on investment is your profit divided by the starting money that you put in. So we'll have a look at a couple examples. It's very similar, and don't forget to times by 100%. It's very similar to percentage change, which we've seen before. And then we have something new that I'm calling return on investment of time. So sometimes you invest time to organize yourself, and then you invest 2 hours of organization and it winds up saving you like 20 hours. So you can calculate your return on investment of time as well, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So those three things, that we will have to sort out in this lesson. All right, let's get started with profit and return on investment. Okay, so you see here we got return on investment, ROI, is equal to your profit made divided by the amount of money that you started with. So maybe I'll put this down as start. Your start money, which in the world of capitalism we call your capital. So it's profit divided by the capital invested. And there's lots of economics about this. The whole economics of capitalism is based on this idea. And part of the problem that we're having is that for many investments, the return on investment is greater than the growth of the economy, which is causing elitism, is what we see. But that's a whole other story. So let's just have a look at some very simple calculations, okay? So I might ask you to calculate the profit of something. I think that's the very first assignment. And I say, this is what we start with, this is what we ended with, so what's the profit? Well, I started with 1,000, I wound up with 1,050, right? The difference between the two of them, so the difference between is 50. All right, and then I can ask you for the return on investment. So it's your profit, which you just calculated, divided by your starting money, which is up at the top. There's 1,000. So let's have a look. Okay, and so when I calculated that out, I plug in 50 for my profit, right? Profit, right? It was what we just calculated right there. So that goes in that spot at the top. And then starting money, right? So our starting money is here. It's 1,000. So that goes in that spot. So 50 divided by 1,000 gives you 0.05. Now remember, that's a percent. That's a decimal, so we have to convert it to a percent. Remember how to do that? Yep, 5% right there. So you can use this algebra triangle up here if you like, right? Like for now, we're looking at return on investment. So remember how this works. Put your finger over one of them. So return on investment, is profit divided by your money or your starting money. Here, I'll move that a little closer. So I just kind of go, so I got P over starting money. If I want profit, I can go return on investment times the starting money. And if I want the starting money, then I can go profit divided by return on investment. And so you're dealing with this algebra triangle in a variety of different shapes and sizes. Okay, and so, part of your booklet is about sorting those particular details out. So what I want to look at next is return on investment relative to the time, so per year, because you might have a return on investment of $50 or 50%, which is pretty good, except it might have taken you 20 years to get that 50%, so not so good. So let's have a look and see how that works. So which is the better return on investment per year? Situation 1 over here, where I make $1,500 in profit. It cost me $10,000 to make that, and I made it over 3 years. Or is this one over here better, where I made $300 profit on $1,000, and I did it over 2 years? So we have to calculate the return on investment and then figure out what it is per year. So divide that number we get by the number of years. So let's have a look. So in the first case, I have a return on investment of 15%, right? 1,500 divided by 10,000. And then, that's 0.15, you convert it to a decimal, is 15%. But that's for the entire life of this project. I have to take that and I have to divide that by 3 years. So if I took that 15% and divided it by 3, well then that's 5% per year, right? That looks like this. So this would be 5% per year. So on the first investment, I'm making 5% per year. Okay? So let's have a look at the next one. Now the next one says I made $300, so I didn't make nearly as much profit, right, as the first one, right? I made $1,500 profit, but here I only made $300 profit, but I started off with less. So return on investment, well, I had a smaller investment, so let's see what the return is. So the return on that investment was 30%, and I did it over 2 years. So divide that by 2, so I've got to bring that over here, divide that by 2, and so that gets me 15% per year. Per year. Okay, like that. So which one is the better investment? Which one has the better ROI per year, return on investment per year? It's number 2. 15% is bigger than 5%. Right? So if I'm thinking about just making a return, I want you to do that one versus that one. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about return of investment on time. Okay, so a return of investment on time. So oftentimes you have to think about, is it worth my time to do something? Right? Am I going to save myself time? Am I going to save myself money? Sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. And knowing, at least some way to think about how to measure that or how to think about that is kind of important to the decisions that you make. So return of investment on time is the time saved by doing something. So if you invest an hour, organizing your finances, and it saves you 3 hours of time at tax time, then that return of investment is pretty good, right? So it's 3 hours divided by 1 hour. So you have a return of investment of 300%. So let's have a look at some of the calculations for that. So let's have a look at these two scenarios, right? The first one, I saved 5 hours worth of time. It took me 4 hours of time to save that 5 hours. So what's my return on investment? Okay, so ROI is equal to 5 hours divided by 4 hours, right? Time saved divided by time spent. So 1.25, and I times that by 100. So it's 125%. Fairly good bargain, right? I invested 4 hours of time. I saved myself 5 hours later. I have a return of investment of that amount. Looking at the other one, well, my ROI is equal to 5 divided by 8. So I spent 8 hours doing something and it saved me 5 hours. So that's not a very good return. I wasted more time, because that happens sometimes when you go to do something and it winds up taking longer than you think it might in the long run. So like, you go to fix your car instead of taking your car into the dealership, and then you think, oh, it's only this, right? And you get in there and now it's this and this and that and that and that, and it winds up costing you more time than what you would have normally thought. There's different scenarios, and so I get you to calculate those ideas. So that gets you 0.625 or 62.5%. So that's not a very good return on investment, right? In fact, it's a poor return on investment when you're thinking about time, right? It's actual loss of time. So part of your booklet is thinking about these details: return of investment on time, and then return of investment in particular. And that really takes us to the end of the whole show. So take care, everybody. See you later.